Shall we try this again? I don't know if it's gonna work, but I'm gonna try it. I gotta make embeds, so I'm just gonna do it. I got my citric acid in here. I'm using the recipe from in here. Awesome book, Bath Bomb Revolution, by the incomparable Robin French Smith. One of the things I like about this is it does have some oil in the embeds, which I was using oil in my embeds before trying out her recipe, but hers has a little bit more oil, so I feel like that's kind of helpful. And then the thing I love about the embed recipes in that book is that she has a whole page about recommended amounts of dye to use, like by weight to bloom your baking soda. And I was using way less. So like I was using like a smidge, and this is like 10 times more than what I was using. So I'm super excited to like try these out. I just used my first, I had made blue embeds with her ratios the other day, and I can't wait to try those out. But I have my bloomed baking soda and other ingredients in this one. This is the yellow that I'm making, but of course, because it's been wet, it is got little like little bits in there. So you still gotta kind of work it through there, get it through the strainer. I'm just getting started right away because my internet has been weird, and so this might just, I might not be able to finish this. So I'm gonna start it now and see what happens. And if it goes away, then it goes away. I think I've done a live before with my embed maker, but I'm not sure. I definitely have a TikTok out there that I did. Maybe that's what I shared in here. Of like my little tips of how to use it. And I have these little magnetic hooks that like, on the side, I put them on the side of my table and I love them. So there, now it's all like nice and nice and like, what is the word I'm looking for? Sifted? Sure, that's the word. And these are gonna be my yellow embeds, which, you know, I was torn about doing yellow embeds, but I think they look so good. I was always worried about making the water look like pee, but like yellow looks so good with some other combos, and then just use yellow and other colors, and then you're not going to end up with yellow, right? Okay. You know, this citric acid, I grind my citric acid, so it's like very airborne. I'm just going to get another tray. Okay. And I'm going to add my oil, and I use avocado oil because I use that in my main recipe, so no need for label changes. And when I make embeds, I don't use my mixer usually. I usually just mix by hand. And there we go. And the thing I need to refigure out for this is I usually use the large embed maker. That's what I did with this, is I added 10% more. It's a double recipe, but I think I did 10% more to try and make sure that I get the right amount. So I need to add a bit more citric acid to this, because that's what I was doing to try and make sure that I had enough mix to not run out as I make this. So let me grab my citric acid and add a little bit more in. This is a double recipe. Embeds will go pretty quick, so you don't want to use too much, but because I have this large embed maker, I can make them pretty quickly. So I can get away with a double recipe of what hers is. Let me get my stuff, 1 second. over here, which you can't see me, but you'll see me in a moment. Let me think about this, 10%, okay. Let's see. There we go, perfect. My citric acid strainer thingy is a little bit bigger of little holes than the one I use for all my other ingredients. And because I already mixed all of those colorants into my baking soda as part of that blooming process, like this comes together pretty quickly mixing within that. I gotta add a teensy bit more of the avocado oil since I'm doing the 10% more. The problem with the scale is like, unless you get like above, I think it's 2, it doesn't really measure well. So I gotta post in that Bath Fizz and Foam group to get some suggestions on. So I use this like, this, I think it's like a jewelry scale thingy. So it does in 0.1 increments in the grams, which is needed for the embed recipes. But I think it wasn't working because one of the ones, like, I swear I probably added 1 to 2 grams and it still said I had added 0. I was trying to add 0.5 grams and I think they're too saturated in color. So I think what I need to do is just like add that to an uncolored mix of baking soda to try and like tone it down so I don't stain people's tubs. So I gotta find that out. Okay, let's add some binder. I use water. I'm just gonna spray that a couple of times. And embeds are kind of, you know, what I find with embeds, first of all, what many people do is a different ratio than your bath bombs, which can help them fizz at a different ratio than your bath bombs, which can, you know, give you a nice fun show. But if you do that, that means that the mix is gonna feel different than what you're used to. Like, at least for me. So it usually, like, I kind of got to play with it a bit more to figure out like when it's the right consistency to begin molding. And because this is a bit of a new recipe for me, like I said, it's the one, if you just joined, it's the one from the Bath Bomb Revolution book by Robin French Smith. So I'm just trying to like figure out the right feel of this embed mix because it's got 1 or 2 ingredients that I didn't have in my classic embed mix. So the good news is if I don't do it right, it can be embed dust. I don't like embed dust because I feel like I have a little less control over it. And I need like a spoon or something to spoon it in to the mix, into my mold. So I'll use it sometimes, but it's like I use it because it's at the bottom of the mix, not because I want it that way. I feel like, oh good, this is feeling better. I feel like when it's my little squares, I have more control over where it's going in my bath bomb. Do you guys see my water bottle over here? This is like 64 ounces or something I'm supposed to drink every day. I still have not had, like I had 1 sip today. You see how full that is? There's even time stamps on it. Right now it's still above the 7 a.m. good morning time. So bad. Okay, that hopefully will be the last of the binder sprays. I just find sometimes you just gotta mix for a while to really get that reaction going, and then it can start to feel like this is definitely feeling like a lot more sticking together. So I think I'm getting close. And then I'll get started on my embed. I use the large embed maker. There's a small as well, but I figure if I'm making embeds, like let me make as many as I can at once. And I'm just getting low on like all my colors. So it's time for me to make lots of embeds. I'm actually really excited with the ratios that Robin gives in the book. Okay, so embed maker. I have one that's multiple colors because whatever. So you have your sleeve. It's now that this piece actually goes the full length now. I've adjusted it a bit. Then you have the bottom piece. Put that on. And then what I do is I sprinkle the mix on top. And then I gently just kind of rub this to make sure that the mix gets into each square. Now, I don't want to press down because if I press down, what it does is, in my experience, it will kind of like stick onto the grid, and that makes it harder to get the next piece on and get it fully like plunged in there. So that is, now I take this plunger piece and I just kind of line it up with those squares, and I'm going to go ahead and push this. And then I'm going to flip it over. So now this was the top piece, and I'm going to flip it over and I'm just going to press it down. And I press down a lot to try and get that as compacted as possible. And then I should be able to just take this piece off. If I can't, I got to tap it. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of push down back and forth. I want to kind of wiggle this to help push it through here. And if it's not going down at first, I just turn it, wiggle a little bit more. It's going down, turn, wiggle more. Okay, till it gets all the way to the bottom. And then what I do is I put that bottom piece upside down now. And then I'm going to flip it and reverse it. And then I usually just give one tap to just make sure I get sometimes like a piece will stick here if I don't tap. And then there, I've got all those embeds ready to go. And because these will work, I should say, then I'm gonna just kind of, I press, it's very hard to get this thing through, so you wanna press it through as opposed to pull it. Like once you get it far enough, you can just pull it. But then just keep repeating. So I'm just gonna try and go real quick because already with me talking, my mix is kind of like not happy with me. So it's already kind of drying out a bit, and I don't want to add a ton of binder. So I'm gonna just go ahead, make another couple. I'll just kind of speak through what I'm doing, but I'm not gonna pause. If I see I haven't seen any comments come up, so I don't know if people are leaving comments, but if I see a comment come up, I'll respond to it, but I'm not gonna pause making now because my mix is gonna go dead on me. So I just, once again, sprinkle it on top, rub it around, not press down. I'm just rubbing it to get it in there. Dana, love that thing. Put off doing embeds until I got that. Yeah, it's super fast. And, you know, you can go pretty quickly. Take that off, press it down, wiggle it down, put that piece back on. You could just flip it. Oops. Ha ha ha. They didn't even tap that one and it still comes off pretty quickly. Oh, let me do this. I don't know if you'll see it like that. Let's see if we can do it like this. So push through to get that out. And let's restart it. So pretty quick. You can get a lot done at once. And normally, if you're not talking in a live, your mix won't die on you. So let's see if it will be nice to me or not. So again, scrape that. And then put this piece on top, line it up, press it down a bit. Press that, press that, press that. Take that top off. Seesaw it down. Put that top back on, flip it. And that's it. Very, very quick. The challenge is, the more you're doing it, the more there's a little bit of mix left in these squares. So they get a little bit, you know, temperamental. So you gotta maybe push a little harder to get that piece out of there so you can make the next batch. But overall, very quick process. It does, you know, I would say that the biggest challenge, or probably two biggest challenges people have that I have seen, are pushing that sleeve down, you know, this part, because they're just trying to like push it straight down as opposed to doing this rocking motion. I find the rocking motion is really helpful. And then the next biggest challenge I see from people is essentially getting it ready for the next round. You know, this part right now where I have to, so it's again, anytime you're pushing this thing through, especially once you've done like 2 or 3 rounds, it just, there's mix in there that gets stuck. Do you guys hear my dog? He wants to come in here, but he's behind the gate. And he's standing up at the gate like, but it sounds like you're having fun in there, and I am. But it's not a place for you. I don't know if you can hear him. He's like, oh, oh. If you were watching my live earlier today, that had a connection issue. I don't know what set him off, but something got him barking. And he's not a barker, except for like when I'm trying to go to bed. There must be animals out here, like raccoons or something out at night, and he like all of a sudden hears them, and then he's like barking at them. And I know he's like trying to protect me, so I'm like trying not to be all mad at him, but like, come on. It's night, we're trying to go to bed. Now's not the time to bark. Actually, no time's the time to bark, in my opinion. But anyway, oh, they're all coming off very quickly and easily. Push this thing through. The other thing I'll say is if you're going to do multiple colors, start with the light color, right? This is my yellow. Next I would do orange. Hello, there. Because you don't want to wash this in between. I have some mixed right here. If you wash it in between, everything's gonna get stuck in there. My mix is dying. I gotta hurry, I gotta hurry. Die, die, die. No, die, don't die. Okay, let's see if I can get it. Yeah, so if you wash it in between, like I wait 2 to 3 days after washing a mold before I'll use it again, because even if it looks dry, sometimes there's just like a little bit of water somewhere in there. PLA, which is what I use to print with, attracts water. It's like citric acid in that way. And so you just, well, of course you don't want to soak it, but after, you know, making it, you're like after rinsing it, you have some water in there that it's gonna maybe be in there without you even seeing it. And then your mix just gets stuck and might activate. So again, rock it, rock it, rock it. Rock it, rock it, rock it. I have a piece that fell. Okay, and then put that top piece off. There we go. Take that off. And we got another batch right there. Let me turn this around. Maybe you'll see some other things. I got 1 to 2 left in this. But it's pretty quick. If it doesn't come out even, you're never going to get it out. So make sure you're pushing evenly. Ah, come on. See, the more you work it, then it starts getting tighter and tighter. So there we go. It's coming out like at an angle, and so I couldn't push it through. So let's get this. Might be the last one I got. Put it in, rub it around. Put it in, rub it around. Oh, I might have two more. Okay, so I'm just gonna rub all that, and I should be able to see the grid after I'm done rubbing to make sure that I'm not gonna have pieces kind of sticking in there. Put this top piece on, match it up, there we go. Put it upside down, and then I press with my body weight. If you had a bath bomb press type of thing, I've never tried like a pneumatic press, but I have actually a manual press from Breaking the Mold, and I haven't used that in a long time. I don't know if this would fit there, but same idea. You get like a can crusher I've heard people use, and an arbor press I think is the other thing some people use. So, and let's get one last one in there, and then the rest is going to be embed dust, which again, not a huge, I personally, not a huge fan of, but it's certainly an option. And there are some people who just like embed dust, and that's totally cool. Just not my thing. So I put it in, mix around a bit to make sure it gets into all those little squares. But I'm not pressing, I'm just, I mean, obviously there's a little bit of pressing because my hands are on there, but I'm really just rubbing, not like pushing down. There's my grid right there. Put this top piece on. Then becomes my bottom piece. Press, 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 press. And then wiggle, rock, jiggle, whatever word you want to use till it gets to the bottom. And there we go. Now I'm at the point where I'm probably not going to get a full, this is why I'm trying to figure out the right amount of mix to use. So I'm going to see like how much I could use maybe. So when I get to this point, if I'm gonna try it, which again, this mix is pretty dead. I don't even know if it'll work, but put a little bit of water in there, see if it'll help it stay. What I usually do when I get to this point is I'll try to put it more in the center because it's gonna be a pretty uneven press. So you're gonna get pieces that are not squares, but at least if I get it more in the center, then I'll have more kind of squares than I would if I get it along the edges. So I'm just gonna try and like get it to the squares that already have some mix in there so I get the best chance, and rub that like I did normally. But now I'm not gonna have, I'm gonna have half-formed things there. So the way I do this is I put this on top, and then I rock it back and forth here and here. Then I'm gonna put it upside down, and again, rock it corners, edges, everywhere to just try and get as much of that kind of packed in as possible. As you can see, it didn't get it all, right? Of course, I wouldn't expect it to. Then I still rock it, rock, 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 to push it through. Rock, rock, rock. And then I'm gonna do the flip over the tray because I'm gonna have all this stuff kind of fall as I flip, and I want it to just fall on my tray. So now I have some kind of mini squares or things that are gonna just fall apart into little powder. And that's fine, but I got a decent number of almost full-size things out of that. But I don't know how long I've been on here, but look at all those embeds I have. Pretty quick. This was a batch that had ballpark 450-ish grams of, no, like 800-ish, 800 to 900-ish grams of like all mix. And so I got quite a few embeds there. So that's the embed maker. You are the embed maker. So anyway, I might make one more batch and then I'll make another batch tomorrow or something. But that's it. Happy making, and if you celebrate anything this weekend, enjoy your holidays and festivities. If you don't see this till after the weekend, I hope you had a lovely holiday or festivity. And just a reminder, so my Easter is next week. I'm going to be out of town for a long weekend because I got to drive to Boston to go see my family. And so orders received through this weekend will almost definitely go out by Thursday. But anything ordered after this weekend may not be sent out for, basically would take at least a week or a week and a half before I could send it out. My committed processing time is always 2 weeks. I do try to get it out before then. So if you order after this weekend, it will definitely be more likely to be closer to that 2 weeks than the 1 week. Anyway, have a great weekend and happy making. Bye, everyone.